What happens when an empire thirsts for vengeance? In the dark forests of Germania, Rome sought retribution so savage it shook the ancient world. After humiliation and bloodshed, Rome's fury exploded in campaigns of fire, slaughter, and merciless conquest. In 9 AD, Rome suffered its greatest defeat in the Teutoburg Forest, where 3 legions were annihilated by Germanic tribes. The empire, humiliated and enraged, demanded retribution. What followed was a brutal struggle of revenge, led by Rome's generals, reshaping both Germania and imperial destiny. The Teutoburg Forest ambush in 9 AD was catastrophic. Arminius, a Roman-trained Germanic leader, lured legions under Publius Quinctilius Varus into dense woodland. Surrounded, outmaneuvered, and trapped, the Romans faced total slaughter. Nearly 20,000 soldiers perished, shaking imperial confidence and staining Augustus's reign forever. Rome's legions were caught unprepared. The Germanic tribes exploited knowledge of terrain, cutting supply lines and ambushing columns. Varus, deceived by Arminius's loyalty, realized too late his betrayal. The disaster marked Rome's most humiliating loss since Cannae, plunging the empire into fear and outrage. Emperor Augustus was devastated, reportedly crying, "Quintilius Varus, give me back my legions." The psychological impact was immense. Rome's invincibility myth collapsed. Germania, considered a frontier for expansion, suddenly became a land of nightmares. A call for vengeance surged through the empire's heart. The brutality of the ambush scarred Roman memory. Survivors were rare. Legionary standards were captured, symbolizing Rome's shame. Arminius became a hero to the tribes. For Augustus, the defeat was a turning point, forcing him to reconsider imperial ambitions across the untamed Germanic frontier. Roman expansion across the Rhine halted abruptly. Provinces trembled in fear of barbarian incursions. The military realized the depth of Germanic resistance. Germania's forests became synonymous with danger. Rome, however, would never forget the treachery and vowed eventual retaliation. Blood must repay blood. Roman historians immortalized the catastrophe. Tacitus and Suetonius described the annihilation with horror. For the common people, whispers spread of barbarian savagery. The defeat reshaped cultural perception of the wild north. The empire needed to restore prestige, and vengeance became as crucial as survival. In response, Rome restructured frontier defenses. Garrisons along the Rhine strengthened, while generals planned counteroffensives. Augustus appointed Tiberius, his stepson, to stabilize the region. Rome refused to retreat entirely. The empire's pride demanded redemption, ensuring that Germania would face retribution in the decades ahead. Following the disaster, Tiberius launched campaigns to prevent further incursions. He strengthened Rhine defenses, reorganized legions, and pacified rebellious Gallic tribes. His cautious approach ensured Rome's frontiers stabilized. Though vengeance was desired, Tiberius focused on containment rather than reckless conquest, preventing further catastrophic losses. Tiberius relied on discipline and fortification. He fortified strongholds, rebuilt morale, and restored Roman confidence. Germania was not conquered, but its tribes were checked. For nearly a decade, Rome prepared quietly, waiting for the right leader who would unleash the empire's revenge with fury. Augustus reluctantly realized Germania was no easy conquest. The forests, rivers, and scattered tribes offered little chance for a permanent province. Instead, Augustus and Tiberius prioritized security. Yet vengeance lingered. Rome's honor demanded satisfaction, and whispers of retaliation grew louder with each passing year. Tiberius's strategies emphasized patience. He withdrew from deep incursions, instead creating a buffer zone. His diplomacy bought temporary peace, but the tribe's independence endured. Rome's armies bided their time. Meanwhile, Arminius celebrated his victory, uniting Germanic tribes under his banner, dreaming of permanent freedom from Rome. The empire's politics complicated Germania's future. With Augustus aging, Tiberius prepared for succession. His measured policy contrasted with Rome's burning desire for blood. The stage was set for new leadership. Rome would not abandon revenge, its pride demanded retribution far beyond frontier skirmishes. The memory of Varus's defeat remained raw. Each Roman legionary stationed on the Rhine carried stories of Teutoburg. Each veteran spoke of betrayal and slaughter. Discipline turned to anger, and anger became determination. The empire awaited the opportunity to reclaim lost honor with decisive force. When Augustus died in 14 AD, Tiberius became emperor. His cautious strategies had preserved Rome's stability. Yet vengeance remained unfinished. Soon, a young, ambitious general named Germanicus would rise, promising to lead Rome's revenge campaigns into Germania, igniting some of the bloodiest wars of the era. Germanicus, nephew of Tiberius, embodied Rome's hope for redemption. Charismatic, bold, and beloved by the legions, he launched sweeping campaigns across Germania. His mission was not mere defense, it was vengeance. Germanicus aimed to punish the tribes, restore Rome's honor, and crush Arminius once and for all. Beginning in 14 AD, Germanicus crossed the Rhine with overwhelming force. He unleashed raids on Germanic settlements, burning villages and slaughtering tribes. His tactics spread terror, re-establishing Roman dominance. Unlike Tiberius, Germanicus embraced aggression, determined to scar Germania so deeply it would never forget Roman wrath. Germanicus carefully rebuilt morale by recovering legionary standards lost at Teutoburg. Each recovery was celebrated as symbolic revenge. Rome rejoiced at the return of its sacred banners. Soldiers felt their humiliation washing away, replaced by pride. Germanicus's victories rejuvenated the legions and delighted the Roman populace. The campaigns were brutal. Germanicus systematically destroyed resources, captured hostages, and forced submission. His forces dug mass graves for the dead Romans of Teutoburg, holding solemn rituals to honor their memory. This act inflamed Roman anger further, reminding soldiers of their duty to avenge the fallen. Arminius, still leading the Germanic coalition, clashed fiercely with Germanicus. Battles erupted in forests, marshes, and open plains. Germanicus adapted to guerrilla warfare, pursuing Arminius relentlessly. Their rivalry became legendary, a clash between Rome's revenge and Germania's desperate fight for independence. The struggle turned savage. Germanicus's most notable triumph came at Stabilization in 16 AD. Roman legions crushed Arminius's forces in a decisive battle, scattering the tribes. Though Arminius escaped, his power weakened. Rome's vengeance burned bright, and Germania's unity fractured. Still, conquest remained elusive. The land itself resisted Roman dominion. Despite battlefield victories, Germania proved unconquerable. Harsh terrain, scattered tribes, and supply difficulties wore down Rome. Germanicus's campaigns inflicted immense suffering, but permanent control slipped away. Eventually, Tiberius recalled him to Rome, fearing his rising popularity. The vengeance campaigns ended, but Germania remained scarred forever by Rome's fury. Germanicus's campaigns were remembered for their ferocity. Villages were razed, populations massacred, and entire tribes enslaved. Roman vengeance was merciless. These scorched earth tactics aimed not just to punish enemies but to instill terror. Germania's forests echoed with screams, smoke, and destruction as Rome sought bloody justice. Captured tribes endured horrors. Roman soldiers executed leaders publicly, enslaved families, and destroyed sacred sites. Germanic culture faced deliberate humiliation. Rome's retribution was not limited to military conquest, it was cultural annihilation. This brutality symbolized imperial authority, warning all frontier peoples of the consequences of defying the empire. Survivors described widespread devastation. The campaigns left famine and displacement. Germanic resistance persisted, but the toll was severe. Some tribes sued for peace, others retreated deeper into forests. Germania bled under Rome's hand, yet the empire still failed to transform the land into a permanent province. For the Romans, vengeance was a sacred duty. Soldiers saw themselves as avengers of fallen comrades. Germanicus's fiery destruction of villages was not cruelty alone, it was framed as justice. Roman propaganda glorified the campaigns as noble, transforming revenge into imperial righteousness. Germania became a cautionary tale. The brutality extended beyond Germania. Frontier propaganda celebrated the violence, reinforcing imperial authority elsewhere. Provinces feared rebellion, knowing Rome's wrath could descend. Germanicus's vengeance campaigns reminded the ancient world that Rome was relentless. Though Germania survived, its people carried scars for generations, remembering the price of defiance. Germanicus himself became a hero. Romans adored his leadership and victories, viewing him as the avenger of Teutoburg. His popularity grew so immense that Tiberius grew wary. The brutality that terrified Germania exalted Germanicus in Rome. His campaign cemented his legend as the empire's righteous avenger. Yet, vengeance had limits. Despite devastation, Germania endured. Tribes remained defiant, retreating into untamed lands Rome could not dominate. The brutality restored Roman pride but revealed the empire's boundaries. Germania was punished, not conquered. Rome's revenge was savage, but it exposed the limits of imperial ambition. The revenge campaigns shaped history profoundly. Rome regained honor but abandoned full conquest of Germania. The Rhine became the permanent frontier, marking the boundary between empire and tribal independence. Germania remained a wild land, scarred by vengeance but never enslaved. Rome's fury stopped, but its memory lived. Arminius survived Rome's campaigns, though weakened. He continued resisting until his assassination by rivals in 21 AD. His legacy inspired later Germanic resistance, celebrated as a freedom fighter. For Rome, Arminius was both traitor and symbol of the unconquerable frontier, embodying the empire's failure to dominate Germania. Germanicus's legacy endured beyond his short life. Beloved by the people, he was recalled to Rome, where he died mysteriously in 19 AD. His campaigns were immortalized as Rome's ultimate vengeance. Germanicus became a martyr-like figure, embodying military glory, filial duty, and the empire's wrath unleashed. The vengeance reshaped Roman military thinking. The empire realized not all lands were conquerable. Strategy shifted to fortification and defense rather than reckless expansion. Germania's wild terrain and tribal unity exposed Rome's limits. The revenge proved costly, teaching restraint even as it restored wounded honor. In Roman memory, Teutoburg remained a wound, but vengeance campaigns softened its sting. The retrieval of standards, victories over Arminius, and widespread destruction restored prestige. Germania remained free, yet scarred. Rome's brutality became both warning and myth, symbolizing imperial justice delivered through unrelenting violence. Historians like Tacitus later recounted the tale with awe. Germania became the land where Rome's pride met its limits. The campaigns of vengeance were remembered not for conquest, but for their ferocity. Rome's story in Germania was not triumph, it was vengeance, blood, and unyielding defiance. Ultimately, Rome's revenge campaigns were both victory and failure. They avenged humiliation but revealed imperial fragility. Germania stood unconquered, yet Rome regained its pride. The forests remained free, echoing with memory. Rome's brutal vengeance became legend, a tale of wrath, justice, and the boundaries of empire. Rome's vengeance in Germania was savage, restoring honor but exposing imperial limits. Germanicus avenged Teutoburg, yet Germania never bowed. The forests defied empire, reminding us power has boundaries. If you enjoyed this dive into ancient warfare, subscribe, share, and join us for more untold history. See you in the next video.